I'll be very interested what happens if Mississippi State loses on Friday. To me, that's the game that really sets the tone for this weekend and for honestly going into these next couple of weeks before we take on Arkansas. Because if they if they end up getting beat by Arizona State, how do they respond to that? How do they rally? Do they kind of start to question themselves at that point? Do they think, well, maybe we're not quite as good as we thought we were? Or if they do end up losing to Arizona State, what does it can they show some resiliency, and can they end up going in and winning the rest of those games? Because at that point, if you lose to Arizona State, you have to start asking yourself, well, can they still get 2 wins this weekend? And I think that's really the minimum for success. You've got to find a way to get 2 wins this weekend. And they should. Look, like I said, they're the better team than Arizona State, at least for what we can tell so far. They're the better team than Arizona State. They're definitely the better team than Virginia Tech. And I honestly, based off the way that UCLA has played a couple times this year, because they do have 2 losses already, they might be better than UCLA. We'll have a better idea of that after we see them play on Sunday. Oh, excuse me. But this is a really good baseball team, and it would be nice for them to be ranked number 1 in the country if they were able to go out and sweep this weekend. But it wouldn't be the first time that they had, and they probably still wouldn't even be the consensus number 1 team if that ends up happening. But there's still a long way to go. This is still a very long season. They've still got 30 conference games left to play. They've still got a few non-conference games after this weekend as well. But this series could very well help give us an idea of just how the rest of the season is going to play out. And it could not. I mean, it's quite possible that if they end up, if they went 0-3, they still end up doing really well in SEC play, but they could go 3-0. And then because the SEC schedule is so difficult, they don't do so well. So I don't know. We'll see.